What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 272. We have Jorge Masvidal going against Colby Covington.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down another prediction video. This week, a very good card, pay-per-view. Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington, probably one of my most anticipated fights of like the last couple years. These two guys don't like each other. I think the promos are going to be phenomenal. I think the weigh-ins are going to be phenomenal. The face-offs are going to be fun. The press conference, I mean, it's going to be a great, fun fight week as well. We did unfortunately lose two fights thus far, and I'm recording this on a Monday. We lost the Manon Fiorot Jessica Eye fight. That sucks. I really wanted to see Fiorot fight. And then we also lost the co-main event, the 5-rounder RDA Rafael Fiziev. So they are looking for a replacement for RDA. So if they do find a replacement, I'll be breaking that down on my channel on Friday. So make sure you do subscribe so not miss out on that. Back in the win column after kind of a light card for me last week, up about 2.5 units. My two biggest plays hit, so that's good. So going into this week, feeling pretty good about this card. I do have one bet already. I'm looking at a ton of other spots, waiting for some props to come out. Now's a great time to sign up on DFSbythenumbers.com if you are not already. It is the beginning of the month, and on top of that, we have 4 cards this month, so lots of action in terms of some UFC here. So with the betting tier that you get on DFSbythenumbers.com, the most popular one, $10 a month, you get access to my UFC stats model, first notice on all bets, my betting article, my betting breakdown videos, my Hail Mary parlay, access to Discord, and then the new full card breakdown and best bet article, which is always released on Wednesday. Feel free to sign up. The link is in the description, or just simply go to DFSbythenumbers.com. Over like 160 members on there as of now. We just keep growing it, and I do appreciate everybody that has signed up. And this is a pay-per-view card, so we are doing the significant strike contest, giving away some free money here. To enter the contest, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel. And then third, comment down how many significant strikes that you think Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal are going to combine for. I think it's going to be a ton. So we'll see whoever gets closest. $25 the first. If there's a tie, whoever did comment first gets that tiebreaker. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. I'll be posting my final picks there on fight day. And then going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and then Saturday, 1 hour prior to the prelims for Best Bet with me, Uncle Weezy, Narco Cop, and Eric Bets Fights, a show that people really do seem to enjoy, and I enjoy doing it. So with all that out of the way, I say we break down this now 12-fight card, hoping they find a replacement for RDA, and we'll talk about that, like I said, on Friday. But we will start with the very first fight of the night. We have Dustin Jacoby going against Mikel Oleksiejczuk. We have Dustin Jacoby, 33 years old, 6'3", with a 78-inch reach, 16-5-1, and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. Mikel Oleksiejczuk, he is 27 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach, 16-4, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And Dustin Jacoby opened up as a -160 favorite. He's currently -185. Mikel Oleksiejczuk opened up +140, and he is +160. So right off the bat with the tail of the tape. So Oleksiejczuk, he's going to be 6 years younger, but it's going to be Dustin Jacoby. He's going to be much, much bigger. The more natural light heavyweight here. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. Mikel Oleksiejczuk is very, very small for the division. He probably should go down to middleweight, but here he is, and he's going to be at a size disadvantage here against Dustin Jacoby. What I really like about this fight, and there's a couple fights on this card actually where both these guys are going to get the fight they want. When Dustin Jacoby is fighting, typically guys are going to try to take him down and take him down a ton. I remember the Ian Cutelaba fight where Cutelaba literally shot like 20 takedowns just in the first round alone. He's not going to have to worry about that here. So I do think both guys are going to get the fight they want, and that is a fight that is going to be playing out primarily on the feet. And at that point, it's interesting because you have Dustin Jacoby. He's going to have that kickboxing background, very good leg kicks, and he's very active with them as well, good body kicks as well. He's going to have that 4-inch reach advantage, which I think is huge. When we're talking power, the power is definitely in the favor of Mikel Oleksiejczuk, and I think he's going to have to close distance and potentially hurt Jacoby, but I really do think it's a solid spot for Jacoby here. Again, he's going to get the fight he wants. Mikel's not going to take him down. He's going to be able to use those kicks, stay at range, use that reach as well. and I just think he's the better striker overall. I am curious to see like which version of Mikel Olejniczak is going to show up, because there's like two different versions of this guy. So the one version is he comes in there and he fights like a madman, like in the Ganzimarad Antigulov fight. He goes in there and drops Antigulov 3 times in less than a minute. 3 knockdowns in less than a minute. He finished Jean Vellante in a little bit over a minute. So there's that version of Olejniczak against OSP. It came in, balls to the wall, kind of gassed out a little bit. Or we also saw the different version of Mikel Olejniczak, where he kind of, toned it down a little bit. He was kind of, patient, staying at range, and, kind of point fighting with Modestas Bukauskas. And he did win that fight. I personally thought he lost, but I think for this fight, he's probably going to have to come in here and try to take off the head of Dustin Jacoby. I don't see him winning a technical fight against Dustin Jacoby here, especially with the reach disadvantage. And I think just Dustin Jacoby has more tools on the feet. So, yeah, I think the odds are about right. Could even be a little bit closer, but I think Dustin Jacoby wins this fight. And I'm going to say he does win this fight by decision. When these guys are getting finished, they are typically getting finished by submission. 5 submission losses combined between the two, and in a combined 42 fights, they have a combined 2 knockout losses, 1 of each. So I'm going to say Dustin Jacoby by decision here. If there is a finish, honestly, it's probably Mikel getting the knockout, but give me the much bigger, the more natural light heavyweight and Dustin Jacoby to get the win. All right, this fight's good. We have Devontae Smith going against Ludovic Klein, and it's going to be Ludovic Klein who is stepping in on short notice for Eric Gonzalez, which was going to be a banger, but I can tell you right now this is going to be probably even more of a banger. Both these guys I really like. We'll start with Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, he's 28 years old, 5'9", with a 76-inch reach, 11-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Ludovic Klein, 27 years old, 5'7", with a 72-inch reach, 17-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So Ludovic Klein is not only stepping in on about a week's notice, but he's also coming up a weight class to lightweight, typically fighting at 145. I went through his record. He does have some fights at, catch weight 150 around there. I don't think he's going to be completely undersized, but he will, in fact, be, a little undersized here. He's going to have a 2-inch reach, or a 2-inch height disadvantage here, and a 4-inch reach disadvantage. We'll take a look at the odds here. They just recently came out, but we had Devontae Smith opened up minus 250, and he's currently minus 190. And Ludovic Klein opened up plus 210, and he's currently plus 165. I kind of see it the same way. I actually think the line probably should be closer, because you take a look at Devontae Smith. This is a guy that has all the tools you're looking for in a fighter. I mean, this guy's speed is phenomenal. He's very, very fast, very quick. And then he has like dynamite in his hands. Like when he touches people, they absolutely go down. He has great takedown defense. I think he's very well-rounded. The cardio's solid as well. The problem with Devontae Smith, and it's a glaring issue, and the problem is going to be that chin. Devontae Smith has been finished in all of his losses. He's also finished all of his wins, but he has 3 knockout losses just recently against Jaimie Mullarkey. But the more concerning one was when he was a minus 1,000 favorite against Kama Worthy, and Kama Worthy knocked him out in the first round. I will never forget that moment. I remember being so high on Devontae Smith on DraftKings, and Kama Worthy just goes out there and starches him within the first couple minutes. So it's the chin. I mean, the chin's definitely a concern. I think he has all the tools. It's just the chin that I think is kind of holding this guy back a little bit. But he looked pretty good against Mullarkey up until that second round. Mullarkey hurt him to the body a couple times and ultimately finished him. It looked like Devontae kind of quit in there, got hurt. But Ludovic Klein, this is a guy that I really did have high hopes for. I watched all his fights outside the UFC. This guy's a head kick machine. I remember watching like back-to-back fights where he's just head kick knocking out these guys. He comes into the UFC, I'm like, he's going to head kick knock out Shane Young, and he does just that. And then he fights Trezano. He's a big favorite. I personally thought he won that fight, but he did not look like a minus 350 favorite or whatever he was. And then in the next fight, he was another minus 300 favorite against Nate Landwehr, a fight that he absolutely should have won. And then he goes out there and he doesn't look good. And you look at Klein, he doesn't like to be pressured. The striking defense has not been there thus far. The cardio has not been there thus far. And then what I don't like about Klein is he really waits and picks his shots. So I think in terms of the volume, he can fall behind. But this guy's dangerous. Although he's coming in short notice of weight class, this guy's dangerous. He's one head kick away from a win in any fight, and it could happen here. I just think the better fighter is Devontae Smith. I really do believe that. I think Devontae Smith is the better fighter in this fight. but the chin of Devontae Smith, it just makes you kind of hesitant about especially placing a bet on Devontae Smith. So I think someone's absolutely getting finished here. In their combined 14 plus 21, in their combined 35 fights. In their combined 35 fights, they have been to decision only, I think, like twice. Devontae Smith has never been to decision in 14 fights. Ludovic Klein has 1 decision win and 1 decision loss. Devontae Smith, 100% finish rate. Ludovic Klein, 94% finish rate. Someone's going down here. I'm going to say Smith does knock out Ludovic Klein, but that head kick of Ludovic Klein, it's a problem. It really is. So yeah, give me Devontae Smith. Give me Devontae Smith by first round knockout, but this is probably one of my more favorite fights on the prelims. I think this is going to be fireworks. All right, Tim Elliott going against Tagir Ulanbekov. We have Tagir Ulanbekov, who is 30 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach, 13-1 and 5-0 in his last five fights. Cannot talk, my bad, guys. Tim Elliott, 35 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach, 17-12-1 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we have Tagir Ulanbekov opening up minus 275, and he is now minus 225. Tim Elliott opening up plus 235, and he is now plus 190. So I do want to go through the career a little bit of Tim Elliott and just take a look at who Tim Elliott's losing to and who Tim Elliott is beating, because you take a look at who he's losing to, it's very good guys. Brandon Royval, Mateus Nicolau, Askar Askarov, Davison Figueiredo, Demetrius Johnson. He's losing to the best of the best. Joseph Benavidez back in the day as well. But you take a look at who he's beat in like the last 8-9 years. It's Luis Smolka, it's Mark De La Rosa, it's Ryan Benoit, and it's Jordan Espinoza. Like that's literally since 2014, those are his 4 wins: Luis Smolka, Mark De La Rosa, Ryan Benoit, and Jordan Espinoza. So you got to kind of ask yourself, does Ulanbekov fall into that Ryan Benoit, Espinoza, De La Rosa territory? I don't think so. This would be Tim Elliott's best win by a mile in like the last 8 years. So could it happen? Potentially, but I do like what I see from Tagir. I mean, Tagir, he's 30 years old. He's going to be 5 years younger than Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott getting up there, especially for a flyweight, now 35 years old. And on top of that, Tagir is going to be the longer fighter as well. He's going to have a 70-inch reach advantage, or a 3-inch reach advantage here against Tim Elliott. I do like that. And then in terms of the wrestling, you probably got to favor Tim Elliott there, but I really do like what I see from the grappling of Tagir. I think his scrambles are very good. I think his submission ability is really good. And we do see that Tim Elliott has been submitted 5 times in his career. And I do think Ulanbekov is very live for a submission in this fight. Ulanbekov has finished over half his wins by submission, and we have seen Elliott get caught quite a bit. I think the cardio is in favor of Ulanbekov as well. Again, on the feet, you probably gotta favor Elliott. I guess it's close, but I do like the reach advantage of Ulanbekov. I just feel like Ulanbekov is going to win the grappling exchanges. I feel like this fight's going to primarily play out on the mat, and I'm going to take Ulanbekov to actually submit Tim Elliott and give Elliott his 6th submission loss. But this should be a really fun fight. Most Tim Elliott fights are extremely fun. I think this one will be as well. But I will take Tagir Ulanbekov to win, and I'll take him to win by like a 2nd or 3rd round submission at some point. Umar Nurmagomedov, Brian Kelleher. We have Umar Nurmagomedov, 5'8", with a 69-inch reach, 13-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Brian Kelleher, he is 35 years old, 5'6", 64-inch reach, 24-12, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Pretty significant tail of the tape advantage for Nurmagomedov. He's going to not only be 10 years younger, which is extremely significant, but he's also going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. We take a look at the odds and we see that Umar Nurmagomedov is the biggest favorite on the entire card, and by a decent margin here. He opened up minus 270, and he is currently minus 600. Brian Kelleher opened up plus 230, and he's currently plus 425. Same thing with like Tim Elliott. Like Brian Kelleher is a guy that he's going to lose to really decent guys, but he's going to have no problem going out there and beating guys like Kevin Kroom, beating guys like Domingo Pilarte, beating guys like Ray Rodriguez, Odi Osborne, beating guys like Hunter Azure. He's going to have no problem beating those guys, but if he loses to Ricky Simone, Cody Stamen, Montel Jackson, John Lineker, Marlon Vera. So I think Umar's special. I mean, I really do. I was watching tape on this guy Sunday night, and I was like, man, this guy's good. This guy is extremely good. I wish he was more active. We haven't seen him fight since January of 2021 when he made his debut. But this guy is like really good. Everywhere on the feet. I really like his striking. Is a very fast head kick, and even hurt Sergey Morozov with that head kick as well. Almost got him out of there by knockout. And then not only that, I mean, this guy can go for takedowns as well. His wrestling's really good. His entries are really good. His scrambling ability is phenomenal. He was scrambling with Morozov, and it was beautiful. It was good. And then ultimately, he was able to take the back of Morozov and choke him out, which that's not an easy thing to do. I'm pretty high on Sergey Morozov. And then you go back and watch some of his fights outside of the UFC, and he's taking guys down. He's submitting them. He's more so a finisher as of late. You go back and watch his career earlier. He's more of a decisionator, but the finishing ability is catching up with him, and he's got, I think, like 2 or 3 finishes in a row now. The guy's dangerous anywhere the fight goes. Brian Kelleher, he's a veteran of the sport. He's dangerous. He's very dangerous anywhere the fight goes in his own right. He's dangerous on the feet. He has power. He's dangerous on the mat. He has a very, very good guillotine. And Umar is going to have to watch out for that, but I think he's going to more than definitely be aware. I just don't see Brian Kelleher submitting Nurmagomedov with a guillotine here. I just think Umar has him covered everywhere. Like on the feet, I favor Umar. I think he could potentially hurt Kelleher and then just take Kelleher down. Kelleher has a 60% takedown defense. We saw that, Ricky Simone, who's a very good wrestler, don't get me wrong, was able to take him down 6 times. Cody Stain was able to take him down. He could definitely be taken down. It looked like at points in that the Simone fight, he was kind of just like giving up the takedown. He was pulling Gilly as well, which you don't want to do against Nurmagomedov. I just think Nurmagomedov has way more paths to victory. It's not a hot take or anything, but I'm gonna take Umar Nurmagomedov to win. I'm actually gonna take him to win by submission. Kelleher has been submitted 6 times. He's been finished in 7 of his 12 losses. And if we see Umar Nurmagomedov level up, because he's young, he's really young, he's 26 years old. If we see him level up, if we see a better version of Umar Nurmagomedov that we saw in his last fight, that could be scary. And Brian Kelleher, he's 35 years old. He's getting up there, especially for a bantamweight. I think Umar Nurmagomedov can definitely come out here and submit Brian Kelleher. So that's what I'll go with. I'll go with Nurmagomedov to submit Brian Kelleher. I'll say in that second round. Okay, we have a actually really fun fight here. Marina Rodriguez, Mariya Agapova. And this is there's 2 fights on this card that have a lot of bad blood. We have the main event that has a lot of bad blood, but this fight has a lot of bad blood as well. I mean, these fighters hate each other a ton. Apparently, Moroz was talking crap about Agapova. I guess they used to be, they trained together. I guess they roomed together as well. And she was just talking about all the things that Agapova would do, which was some pretty crazy stuff. And then Agapova was like, no, it's not true. And it's going to be a fun fight. Both these fighters do not like each other at all. So I'm glad they matched them up. Phenomenal matchmaking there. And it's a good fight. It's a good fight in general. But we'll start with Mariya Agapova. She is 24 years old, 5'6" with a 68-inch reach, 10-2, and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Marina Moroz, 30 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach, 10-3, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. I'm really hoping this fight stays on the card. Marina Moroz has pulled out of her last 4 fights. In like the last couple of years, she's pulled out, I think, like 7 or 8 fights. It's a ton. So she has not fought in a while. It's been, 1 year and 11 months since she's fought against Mara Bueno Silva, which is, not good. I mean, she's not active at all, but hopefully she does make this fight because I do want to see it. We have Mariya Agapova. She opened up -200. She's currently -205. Marina Moroz opened up +170. She is currently +175. So where do I start? Mariya Agapova, a lot of hype on her. She was she's known for the Mariya Agapova against Shanna Dobson fight where she was like over a -1,000 favorite. I will never forget that as well. We have 2 fighters on this card that have actually lost as they went -1,000 favorite, which are 2 of the biggest upsets in UFC history. But we see that she went in there against Shanna Dobson. I went back and watched that fight, and it's not only concerning that she lost because she did. It was just concerning in general. I mean, Shanna Dobson came out, and within the first 30 seconds, Shanna Dobson took down Mariya Agapova. That's not good. And then she took her down a second time in the first round. I was like, what's going on? And then obviously Mariya Agapova, was fighting like an idiot. She tires out, she gasses out, comes back in the second. She takes down Shanna Dobson, gets reversed, and she gets pounded out. It wasn't a good look, but you go back and watch that first round, and it's still not a good look. Getting taken down twice by Shanna Dobson is not a good look at all. She does bounce back against Sabina Mazo here. Very nice. I think it was like a head kick. Hurt Mazo bad. Ended up submitting her. She looked good in that fight. I thought Mazo fought a very weird and questionable game plan where she marched forward the entire fight, made 0 in-fight adjustments, and then eventually got knocked out and submitted. But she looked good. I thought she went in there with a better game plan than going out there and fighting like an idiot, which was good. But this is a fight where Marina Moroz, she is very well-rounded. And what I noticed was when she does get takedowns, she's able to stay on top. Her ground game is actually really good. Against Mara Bueno Silva, who we know is a legit black belt in BJJ, she was able to take down Bueno Silva twice. And both times she took her down, she was able to hold her down quite easily. She took down Sabina Mazo in that fight as well. And when she took down Mazo, Mazo couldn't get up. So I think her top control is very good. I think her ground game is very good. And I think the striking's coming along. You go back and watch some of Rose fights from a couple years ago. For example, the Daniel Taylor fight where she landed 17 strikes while attempting 251 with she had a 6% accuracy in that fight. She's came a long way from that to going out there against Mara Bueno Silva and landing 139 strikes on her. And that she did have around a 56% accuracy in that fight. So I do think she is making improvements. And what I like about Moroz in general is just the fact that she's going to throw a ton of strikes. She is very, very high output. I do think she's going to be throwing more strikes in this fight. Is she going to land a lot of them? Probably not. But she's going to make those sounds, kind of like a Caitlin Chukagian. She's going to make those sounds that might persuade the judges a little bit because she makes a lot of sounds. She throws a lot. She's punching air half the time, but still, it's a good thing. And if she can start connecting on a lot of those punches, I think she could be a problem. And she also needs to be more active. But yeah, this is a really close fight. You have the power of Agapova. You have the volume of Marina Moroz. And then on top of that, if Agapova does get taken down, I think she gets stuck off her back here. Mariya Agapova actually has a 33% takedown defense, which is extremely concerning. And Shanna Dobson took her down twice. That's concerning. Tracy Cortez took her down 4 times. Not as concerning, but she can be taken down. I think if Moroz can take her down, she can win minutes. So on the feet, I think it's close and competitive, but I think Moroz has a path to victory for a takedown and control on the mat. So yeah, I'm going to go with the dog here in Moroz. I think there is some recency bias on this line because Agapova did look really good in her last fight. And what did Moroz look like in her last fight? Well, a lot of people probably don't remember because it was like 2 years ago. So I think people probably forgot about Moroz, but I think she's pretty good. She is pretty good. I mean, going out there and beating Mara Bueno Silva like that is not easy. And she did just that. Outlanded her 140 to 88, took her down twice, controlled her. Great performance. If she can build off that, I think this is a very, very winnable fight for her. So give me Marina Moroz to win, and give me her to win by decision. All right, moving on. We have Nikolai Negumereanu going against Kennedy Nzechukwu. And, usually on cards, we have one fight that really sucks. And sometimes a couple fights that suck. But this is the only fight that really sucks on this card. With that said, I think it'll be fun. This is the lowest level fight on the card by a mile. And it's really the only one on the card that's like this. But this is about as low level as you can get, but I think it's so low level that it'll be somewhat fun to watch. We have Kennedy Nzechukwu, who was 29 years old, 6'5", with an 83-inch reach, 9-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Nikolai Negumereanu, 27 years old, 6 foot, with a 78-inch reach, 11-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. I don't think anybody should be betting on a fight like this, but we have Kennedy open up -125. He's currently -140. And the Nikolai Negumereanu open up +105. He's currently +120. Well, Kennedy Nzechukwu, he has all the physical attributes. He's 6'5". He's going to have a 5-inch height advantage. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, an 83-inch reach. The physical attributes are there. Not only that, he has some good intangibles. He has great cardio. He has what I thought was great durability. But we saw in the Dong Jung fight, it was the weirdest thing. This is a guy in Kennedy who is known for getting beat up bad, getting beat up really bad, taking a beating and coming back and winning the fight. But in the Dong Jung fight, I went back and watched that fight, and watching it live, I didn't think that elbow that Dong Jung landed cleanly, but I went back and watched it a couple times, and that elbow that he landed did not land cleanly. It grazed off his guard, Kennedy's guard. It grazed off the first one, and then the second one hit Kennedy's guard. I don't even think it made contact with his head at all. But so it got blocked cleanly. It literally hit his arm. And then Kennedy starts wobbling. He's hurt, and the Dong Jung just finished him. It was the weirdest finish I've probably ever seen. So a guy that's known for his durability, that was not good. But this is a guy Kennedy is such a frustrating fighter to pick, to bet on, to watch, to root for, because again, he has all the physical attributes. He has good intangibles. It's just he comes in there. His game plan is to basically get his ass beat for 7.5 minutes and then take over. I mean, every win of Kennedy is just like that. Against Danilo Marques, the dude loses the first 9 minutes of the fight, 9-10 minutes of the fight. Marques takes his back in the first round. Kennedy lands 0 strikes in that first round. He attempts 0 strikes in that first round, right? And then the second round comes along, Marques takes him down again. The third round comes along, Marques gasses out, and Kennedy finishes him in the third. Against Carlos Ulberg, this guy gets his ass whooped in the first round. Ulberg almost gets him out of there. Ulberg lands 83 strikes on this dude. Ulberg starts to gas out. He tires out. The second round comes around. He's still getting hit a lot, but he lands a big shot on Carlos Ulberg. So it's hard to be confident in a fighter that his path to victory is literally getting beat up for 7.5 minutes, losing the fight up until he wins it. With Nikolai Negumereanu, this guy has a 29% striking defense thus far in 3 fights. This guy is the male version of Priscilla Cachoeira. He has no striking defense, and he admits it as well. His hands are low. His head is on the center line. He does not block punches. So you're going to have Kennedy with the high guard, not throwing anything, blocking punches. And then you're going to have Nikolai with his hands down low, not blocking any punch at all. This is so low level. It's insane. And I really don't even know who to pick. But I will pick Kennedy, I guess, to survive the first round and a half. And I just think it's going to be like a typical Kennedy and Nzechukwu performance. I think Nikolai is going to come forward, and I think he's going to tire out trying to beat up Kennedy and Nzechukwu. And then once Kennedy does decide to let his hands go, because when he does, he's actually pretty solid, Nikolai's not going to block any punches. I think he could potentially knock out Nikolai at some point, or just start voluming up Nikolai at some point, winning that second and third round. But this is a mess of a fight. But it's so bad that I think it'll be entertaining. So I'm going to go with Kennedy and Nzechukwu to win this fight. I guess by decision. Both these guys are very tough. Nikolai Negumereanu, this guy's very tough as well. Although he does eat punches with his face, he has a very, very good chin. So I'll give him that. But yeah, this fight really could go either way. So yeah, give me Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I hate that pick, but it should be an interesting fight to watch. Give me a Nzechukwu by decision. Okay, we have Marina Rodriguez going against Xiaonan, and since we did lose the RDA Fiziev fight, and if we don't get a replacement for RDA, I'd imagine they put this fight on the main card, because I do think it should be on the main card regardless. I mean, this fight's very, very high level, so it to be on the prelims is kind of weird. But we have Marina Rodriguez going against Xiaonan. Cannot wait for this one. Rodriguez, 34 years old, 5'6", with a 65-inch reach, 15-1. In 2 and 3 and 1 and 1 in her last 5 fights. Xiaonan, 32 years old, 5'5", with a 63-inch reach, 13 and 2 and 4 and 1 in her last 5 fights. So, we'll take a look at the odds, and Rodriguez is a pretty big favorite. She opened up as a -185 favorite, currently -250. Xiaonan opened up +160. She is currently +210. And what I like about this fight is both fighters are going to get the fight that they want, and especially Marina Rodriguez is going to get the fight that she wants. And what I noticed going through kind of the career of Marina Rodriguez, she doesn't often fight a fighter that's not going to want to take her down. Mackenzie Dern, she wanted to get down Rodriguez. Obviously, Mackenzie Dern attempted 8 takedowns. She got 1. Michelle Watterson, wanted to get Rodriguez down at some point. She attempted 5 takedowns. She got 1. Amanda Hebos obviously wanted to get Rodriguez down. Carla Esparza wanted to get her down. Cynthia Calvillo, Rando Marcos. Fighters are trying to take down Marina Rodriguez, and rightfully so. Like on the feet, Rodriguez is an absolute problem. She hits very, very hard. She's very dangerous. And the thing with Xiaonan is I just don't think she's going to go for takedowns. She does have 6 takedowns in the UFC, but 5 of those were against a very washed Carolina, who's now on like a 5 or 6 fight skid. So I don't think that Xiaonan's going to attempt many takedowns. And if she does, how successful is she going to be? Because Marina is improving that takedown defense. She is improving that ground game. Mackenzie Dern, again, 1 for 8 on takedowns. Michelle Watterson, 1 for 5 on takedowns. So even then, if Xiaonan does come in here trying to wrestle, which I don't expect, I don't know how much success she's going to have with that. So I think it's going to play out on the feet. And at that point, I think in terms of the volume, it's going to be competitive. I think in terms of the numbers, it's going to be very competitive. Xiaonan, very good striking, very good volume. It's just I think the power is definitely going to be in favor of Marina Rodriguez. The damage inflicted is going to be in favor of Marina Rodriguez. And again, she's not going to try to take down Marina, and that's a very scary thing. That is a very, very scary thing. So, this is a fight where I see a lot of people are on the dog. I get it. It probably should be lying closer, but I can't pick Xiaonan here. I just think the harder shots, the more damage is definitely going to be coming from the Marina Rodriguez side. Do I like her at minus 250? No. But I do like her to win this fight. I'm going to take Marina Rodriguez to win. I'm going to take her to win by decision. This fight is a very good fight, underrated fight on the prelims. Okay, next this is the last fight before we get on the main card. We have Jalin Turner going against Jaimie Mullarkey, and this fight is phenomenal as well. It's a banger. We have Jalin Turner, 26 years old, 6'3", with a 75.5-inch reach, 11-5, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Jaimie Mullarkey, 27 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach, 14-4, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Take a look at the odds here. We see that Jalin Turner opened up as a minus 150 favorite. He's now minus 165. Jaimie Mullarkey opened up plus 130. He's now plus 145, which is interesting. Was not expecting this much money to come in on Turner. I thought Mullarkey would be a pretty popular dog this week, but doesn't really look like it. Jalin Turner is huge for lightweight. This guy's 155 pounds, and he's 6'3", and he has a 75.5-inch reach. But not only that is he's long. I mean, you watch this guy, he's very, very long in there, and although he only on paper has a 1.5-inch reach advantage, I think he's going to look much, much longer than Jaimie Mullarkey. Jaimie Mullarkey, he's going to have a 3-inch height disadvantage and a 1.5-inch reach disadvantage. Jaimie Mullarkey going from fighting like a 5'8", 5'9" Devontae Smith to a 6'3" Jalin Turner. And what I like about Jalin Turner is this guy's well-rounded. He's 11-5, but he's well-rounded. He's good everywhere the fight goes. On the feet, this guy's very dangerous, has a lot of power in his hands. But on the mat, we saw, especially in his last 2 fights, back-to-back submission wins. So he's dangerous anywhere the fight goes. His last loss was against Matt Frevola, and I thought some people might look at that fight and think Jaimie Mullarkey might come in here and kind of implement the same game plan. But Jaimie Mullarkey, he's not a wrestler. He's wrestled in the UFC, yes, but you go out and watch his fights outside the UFC, he's not doing a lot of wrestling at all. So it kind of surprised me when he's going out there and taking down Faraz Ziam. He's going out there and taking down Brad Riddell, and he had some success in doing that. But even then, Faraz Ziam, the striker, reversed Jaimie Mullarkey, got on top twice. Brad Riddell, the striker, reversed Jaimie Mullarkey, got on top. What is Jalin Turner going to do, who's a much, much better grappler than both those guys? Jalin Turner's very dangerous off his back. He's able to get reversals and sweeps. And what happens if Jalin Turner gets on top? I think Mullarkey could be in trouble. On the feet, I favor Jalin Turner. I think he's going to be the longer rangier striker with more power. Jaimie Mullarkey blocks punches with his face. He's very tough, don't get me wrong, but blocking punches with your face is not the best thing in the world. 45% striking defense. And again, Turner hits very, very hard. And then if this fight does hit the mat, whether it's Mullarkey getting this fight down, which it could happen, or, Turner getting the fight down. I just favor Turner there. I think he's the better grappler by really a significant margin. So, I get why money's coming in on Turner. I thought Mullarkey might be a popular dog here because he's somebody that's really tough. People really seem to like these tough fighters. But I just think the more skilled fighter is definitely Jalin Turner. Could Mullarkey win? Absolutely. He's a tough guy. Turner's been finished quite a bit. Turner's actually been finished in 3 of his 5 losses, 3 coming by knockout. Mullarkey's been finished in 2 of his 4 losses, 2 by knockout. So could Mullarkey knock out Jalin Turner? Potentially. I just think it's more likely that Turner either knocks Mullarkey out or submits Mullarkey. Maybe a club and sub, maybe he hurts Mullarkey. Mullarkey shoots in. Turner snatches the neck, but I'm really high on Jalin Turner. He's only 26 as well. We got to remember that. He's 26 years old. He's young. He's improving. He already has 16 fights. High hopes for this guy for sure. So I like Jalin Turner to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win by, I'll say knockout in the first or second round. But this is going to be a very fun fight. Both these guys are very exciting. Both these guys are finishers. Jalin Turner, a 100% finish rate. Jaimie Mullarkey, a 94% finish rate. There's a good chance somebody gets finished. But I'm going to say Jalin Turner does finish Jaimie Mullarkey in the first or second round. All right, now we have the main card opener. And it's going to be Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, going against Greg Hardy. We have Sergey Spivak, 27 years old, 6'3", with a 78-inch reach, 13-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Greg Hardy, 33 years old. He is 6'5", with an 80.5-inch reach, 7-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So Spivak going to have a 2-inch height disadvantage. He's going to have a 2.5-inch reach disadvantage, but he will be the younger fighter by 6 years. Taking a look at the odds, Sergey Spivak opened up minus 145. He's now minus 215. Greg Hardy opened up plus 125. He's now plus 185. I honestly kind of agree with the opener a little bit more. I think this fight should be closely lined, and I really see it going one of 2 ways. The first way I see it going, Sergey Spivak gets this fight down to the mat. It's over. The fight is over. Greg Hardy, he has great takedown defense. We'll talk more about that, but his ground game is horrendous. He's a fish out of water. He doesn't have good cardio. Sergey Spivak, if he gets the fight down to the mat, it's over. With that said, Greg Hardy has a good chance of knocking out Sergey Spivak early on. We saw the Walt Harris finish Sergey Spivak in less than a minute. We saw that Tom Aspinall finished Sergey Spivak as well, and Greg Hardy, he does have a lot of power. I went back and watched some Greg Hardy fights. I think interesting one to go watch would be the Tybura fight, where Greg Hardy looked very, very good early on in that first round. We saw that Greg Hardy in that Tybura fight, he outlanded Tybura 38-16 in the first round. And then Tybura shot in for a takedown. Greg Hardy showed great takedown defense. And then the second round came along. Hardy was able to still stuff a couple takedowns. I think he stuffed 2 or 3. And then Tybura finally gets Greg Hardy down, and the fight was over. So what I noticed was, especially early on, Greg Hardy has very good takedown defense. On paper, it's sitting at about 80%, but very good takedown defense. He's very strong, very physical. And, if I'm laying minus 200 on Sergey Spivak, I will want him to come out here and shoot for takedowns instantly. I'm not going to want him to strike with Greg Hardy, but you take a look at Sergey Spivak, and there's some fights where he just doesn't wrestle. Against Tom Aspinall, we got to give him a pass for that. He did come in on short notice, but the dude waited till like halfway through the first round to finally shoot a takedown against Aspinall. He gets outlanded 16-0. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So he doesn't even attempt a takedown until like the halfway mark of the first round. Aspinall stuffs it easily, and then Aspinall knocks him out. And then there's just been other fights, like the Carlos Felipe fight. I picked Sergey Spivak in that fight, and I think this guy's going to take down Carlos Felipe. And he waits until the third round to do so. He finally takes him down in the third round. If he waits to the third round of this fight, he's getting knocked out. So if I'm laying minus 200 on Sergey Spivak, I will want him to shoot right away. And there's just been fights where he has not done that. Against Alexei Oleinik, 0 takedowns, which makes sense. But what doesn't make sense was the fact that Oleinik was competitive in the striking against Sergey Spivak. Sergey Spivak outlands Oleinik 55-52 at distance. Like, that's not good. That is not good. So I'm a lot less higher on Sergey Spivak than most people. But with that said, if he gets this fight down to the mat once, it's over. So what's going to happen first? Is Hardy going to knock out Sergey Spivak, or is Spivak going to get this fight down to the mat? I kind of lean towards Hardy. I think, Spivak, this fight is going to start standing. Every fight starts standing. If every fight started on the mat, sure, I'd lay minus 200 on Spivak, but every fight starts standing, and I just don't have a ton of confidence that Spivak's going to come out here with a good game plan, and I don't have a ton of confidence that he's going to be able to take down Greg Hardy easily. So yeah, I'm actually going to take the dog here with Greg Hardy. I know a lot of people are going to be upset with that, but I'm just not that high on Spivak. So yeah, give me Greg Hardy to win. Give me Greg Hardy to win by first round knockout. Next, we have Kevin Holland going against Alex Oliveira. We have Kevin Holland, 29 years old, 6'3", with an 81-inch reach, 21-7, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Alex Oliveira, 34 years old, 5'11", with a 76.5-inch reach, 22-11, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Kevin Holland is coming down to welterweight for this fight. And we see that Kevin Holland is a big favorite. I want to say he is now the second biggest favorite on the card. Looks like he is, second or third biggest favorites between him and Colby on some books. But we see that Holland opened up minus 200. He's now minus 310. Alex Oliveira opened up plus 170. He's currently plus 160, or plus 260, my bad. I think it's a good fight for Kevin Holland. I really do. You take a look at Alex Oliveira, the guy's on a 3-fight skid. He just doesn't look great. I mean, he hasn't looked great at all. He's 34 years old. 34 years old now, supposedly. Could even be older than that. In fight years, he's pretty old as well. He's been in a lot of wars, and he just looks kind of on his way out. Slowing down a little bit in his career. Kevin Holland, he's still very young, 29 years old. He's losing as of late, but to very good guys. Derek Brunson taking him down the entire fight. No shame in that, holding him down. Guys like Marvin Vettori. No shame in losing to guys like that. This is going to be a fight where Kevin Holland's probably going to get the fight he wants. Alex Oliveira has shot a lot of takedowns in his career, in his long UFC career. But, as of late, I think it was like in his last 10 fights, he's completed 8 takedowns. So he's not wrestling as much anymore. And when's the last time we saw Alex Oliveira fight a very smart game plan? And it was probably in that Sabata fight, but I just don't think we're going to see Alex Oliveira come out here and shoot takedowns. And if he does, there's actually a good chance he can get submitted, because Kevin Holland is a legit black belt in BJJ, and we do see that Oliveira has been submitted 6 times in his career. I just don't like what I see from Oliveira. I don't know if the heart's there. He doesn't look all in. Whereas Kevin Holland, he's still young. He's motivated. I'm sure he's going to want to come out here and shut a lot of people up. Has not won a fight in over a year, right? The last time he won a fight was a year and 1 month ago with that knockout against Jacare Ray. But yeah, I think it's a good spot for Kevin Holland. The only problem is, in terms of betting it, would be I just feel like laying minus 300 on Kevin Holland is just not the best idea in the world. This guy is somebody that I really questioned the fight IQ in a lot of his fights. For example, that Gerald Meerschaert fight, initiating the grappling with Gerald Meerschaert. I thought he lost that fight, but ended up getting the win there. The Alessio Di Chirico fight, I thought that was extremely way too close for Kevin Holland there. In the Buckley fight, he was talking to Buckley way too much instead of just knocking him out in the first rather than the third. In the Brunson and Vettori fight, just didn't really make an effort to get up to his feet. He just makes poor decisions at times. Darren Stewart fight, got taken down, almost lost the fight as well, split decision. I just don't feel comfortable laying minus 300 on Kevin Holland, but I do feel comfortable in picking him in this matchup. I think he does beat Oliveira, and I actually think he finishes Oliveira, whether it's a knockout, whether it's a club and sub, whether Oliveira takes down Holland. I think Holland can get something off his back, but I think Holland does finish this fight. I'm going to say he finishes by submission, but yeah, I do like Kevin Holland to win this fight. If the weight cut, I think it's going to go good. It's probably not the biggest cut. I'm not sure what Holland does walk around at, but I think it'll be good on the scale. We'll have to see, though, but I think it'll be good. And again, I just don't think Alex Oliveira is all in. So yeah, give me Kevin Holland here pretty comfortably, and give me Kevin Holland to win by submission. All right, so as of now, this is the co-main event, but if we do get a replacement for RDA, we will probably change that. But right now we have Edson Barboza going against Bryce Mitchell. And yeah, this is a really good fight. I'm looking forward to this one. We have Bryce Mitchell, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 70-inch reach, 14-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Edson Barboza, he is 36 years old, 5'11", with a 75-inch reach, 22-10 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and Bryce Mitchell opened up -135. He's now -147. Edson Barboza opened up +115. He's now +127. Initially, I thought he'd be taking the dog here in Barboza, because you take a look at Barboza, who has came out there and implemented a Bryce Mitchell game plan against him and won, and was successful with that. Who's done that in his entire career? In how many fights does this guy have? He has a ton of fights, 32 fights. Who has done that in 32 fights? The answer to that is only 2 fighters have done that. Only 2 fighters have taken him down, controlled him, and those 2 fighters were Kevin Lee and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib took him down 4 times. Kevin Lee took him down 4 times. And outside of that, nobody has been successful in terms of taking him down, submitting him, nothing like that. It's just been Khabib who went out there, and Khabib won by decision, and then Kevin Lee eventually won by a TKO in that 5th round. But other than that, nobody's taking down Edson Barboza and having success. Makwan Amarikani was able to take him down 3 times, and going back and watching that fight, I did not like what I saw. I mean, he dominated Makwan Amarikani, but still, Makwan was able to get him down in each round. And then even in the 3rd round, which is weird because Makwan typically is a round 1 fighter, Makwan was able to control him for over about 3 minutes in that 3rd round. So that was kind of a concern. And then I go and watch Bryce Mitchell, and this is a guy that, first of all, this is a huge step up in competition, going from guys like Matt Sales, Charles Rosa, Tyler Diamond. This is a massive step up in competition, but I think Bryce Mitchell is different. He went out there, submitted he submitted Matt Sales with a twister, which was extremely impressive. And then he comes out and then he dominates Charles Rosa, taking him down 3 times, almost submitting him many times in that fight, won a decision. So I thought, okay, everybody can do that to Charles Rosa. Rosa's comfortable off his back. Rosa, if he's submission or bust off his back, what's he going to look like against Andre Fili? And then he does the same thing to Andre Fili. He goes out there, takes him down 7 times, controls him for 10 minutes. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. And with Barboza, Barboza's getting up there in age. He is now 36 years old as a featherweight. He's been in a lot of fights. Bryce Mitchell's going to come out here. He's going to fight smart. I went back and watched a lot of his fights. What does he do in the first 30 seconds of every fight for the most part? He goes for takedowns. He's going to go for takedowns. He's going to be relentless with it. And when he does get on top, he's shown a very good top control, very good ground game, submission attempts as well. And the pace he pushes, I don't know if Edson Barboza is going to be able to keep up with that at this point in his career. So it feels kind of weird taking Mitchell here, especially as a favorite, but I just feel like he's going to take down Edson Barboza, rinse and repeat. On the feet, it's Barboza all day. It's not even close. It's just what I think Bryce Mitchell's not going to give Barboza many opportunities at all. So I'm going to take the favorite here in Bryce Mitchell to get it done. I'm going to take him to win by, I'm going to say submission actually in the 3rd round. I'm going to say he kind of tires out Barboza. I'm going to say Barboza gets submitted in that 3rd round. Decision, probably more likely, but I'll say 3rd round submission for Bryce Mitchell. Very good fight there. And speaking of a good fight, we have probably one of my favorite fights in the last couple of years. Like, this fight is going to be so much fun. I'm a big fan of both these guys. We have Colby Covington going against Jorge Masvidal. We have Covington, 34 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach, 16-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jorge Masvidal, he is 37 years old, 5'11", 74-inch reach, 35-15 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jorge Masvidal is getting up there in age. He's 37 years old. Didn't realize he was that old, but I thought he was 35, and he's 37 years old. We'll take a look at the odds, and Colby is the 2nd or 3rd biggest favorite on the card, depending on which book you look at. But you have Colby open at -300. He's currently -315. Jorge Masvidal open up +250, and he's currently +265. So, I really like Colby and the style of Colby Covington. We have not got to see really the style that Colby is known for in his last fight. His last fight against Kamaru Usman, where Colby Covington did shoot for 11 takedowns, didn't officially get one. And then the last fight with Kamaru Usman, the first fight, he shot 0 takedowns. But we take a look at his other fights, and he's going out there and shooting a ton of takedowns and getting a ton of them. Robbie Lawler gets 10 takedowns. Rafael dos Anjos gets 7 takedowns. Dong Kim gets 8 takedowns. Brian Barberena gets 12 takedowns. That's what Colby Covington does. maybe not successful in doing that against Kamaru Usman, but that is Kamaru Usman. I think he will have success in doing that against Jorge Masvidal here on the feet. Obviously, you got to favor Masvidal, but I think Colby Covington, can have success on the feet. He's going to throw a ton of volume. He's going to be relentless. He's going to pressure forward. But, the game plan for Colby is, going to be getting this fight down to the mat early. What I noticed in some Colby Covington fights is he goes out there instantly. He's going to push a pace, right away. He's going to get in your face, and he's going to take you down. If you get back up, you're going right back down. If you get up, you're going back down once more. His control is not the best in the world, and I think that Jorge is going to get up a lot, especially if it's against the cage. If Colby can take him down in the open, I think he can have more success in terms of controlling him. But if he gets back up, he's going back down. I also think that Colby can kind of hold Masvidal against the cage, kind of like Kamaru Usman did to Masvidal in their first fight as well. So I think that's a path. And then I think Colby's just going to put on a relentless wrestling heavy pace with a ton of strikes, a ton of pressure. I think he's going to do that for the first 2.5, 3 rounds. And when Jorge starts to slow down, I think Colby's going to be more comfortable in terms of striking with him. I think he's going to keep pushing the pace in terms of the striking at that point. He's going to try to finish Masvidal, but I don't really see him finishing him. But I think Jorge's kind of knockout or bust here. Could it happen? Maybe. Usman was able to drop Colby 4 times combined in their 2 fights. It's definitely possible. It's an MMA fight, but I do think Colby's going to, most definitely be the minute winner. I think he's going to come in here with a smart game plan as always, rinse and repeat those takedowns, a crazy pace that most people cannot keep up, and I don't think Masvidal will be able to as well. But I like Colby to win here, probably by, I'll say, decision for Colby Covington. I'm not even sure, Masvidal wins around here. I think if Masvidal wins, I think it has to be by knockout. I don't see him stuffing takedowns. I don't see him keeping it off the cage. I don't see him, keeping it at range and just outlanding Colby for, minutes at a time. Colby's just not going to let that happen. So, give me Colby Covington here. I'll take him to win by decision. But it's going to be a very, very, very fun fight, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, guys, that is about it. Make sure you guys please leave a like on the video, subscribe as well. Be sure to comment down your significant strike totals for this fight as well. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com. I do have one bet posted right now. I'm going to be looking at some more bets, and then article for full card article and best bet article will be out on Wednesday, so check that out. Me and Uncle Weezy will be going live on Monday for the main event deep dive that's going to be on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. Check me out there. I'll be posting my final picks with the methods there on fight day. And yeah, live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and then Saturday, 1 hour prior to the prelims. Best of luck, everybody. Let's make some money on this phenomenal card. UFC 272 should be a good one. If RDA does get a replacement, we'll talk about that Friday. If not, we'll be rolling with 12 fights, but 11 very solid fights. And then we have Kennedy and Nzechukwu, Negumereanu. But it should be a good card. That's about it, guys. Good luck, and we'll talk to you very soon.